Good day, Rhode Island. I'm Mike Stenhouse with the Rhode Island Center for Freedom and Prosperity, welcoming you to our ongoing debate series, What's Really in Your Best Interests? Today, our guest is Aimee Gardiner, Director of the group Rhode Islanders Against Mandated HPV Vaccinations. And today we're going to explore whether or not it's in your family's best interests that our state government mandates that all of our 7th grade children must take the controversial HPV vaccine. Aimee, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your group, how you get started, and what your ultimate mission is.
Okay, so the Rhode Islanders Against Mandated HPV is for the purpose of its name to reverse the mandate of the vaccination in Rhode Island and also advocating for informed consent. And came about when the Department of Health mandated this, and the majority of parents in Rhode Island got the information via letters from the schools.
After the fact.
So that's right after, and actually it was like 10 months after it was actually signed is when most people in the state figured out that it was now going to happen.
Now, is your group against all vaccines or just the HPV vaccine?
Well, we're not specifically against the vaccine. It's more directly the mandate attached to school, not whether or not somebody should or shouldn't get the vaccine.
Is it safe to say that your group is strictly then focused on the mandated aspect of just the HPV vaccine, and you're not speaking for all other vaccines that are a little bit less controversial?
Exactly, yes.
All right, now you just mentioned the school. As I understand it, the original mandate said, and by the way, I believe Rhode Island is the only state in the nation where both 7th grade boys and girls are mandated to take the vaccine. And if it was enforced, children would not even be able to go to public schools or private schools without having taken that vaccine. Is that the way it was originally set up?
Yes, you have to have the exemption or you cannot attend school. There is also Washington, D.C. and Virginia. We were the third.
All right, so as you know, our center kind of joined forces with your group last year. We found each other on Facebook, which we'll talk about in a minute, and we did some media. We did a large event up in Cumberland last year at one of the Department of Health meetings, and I think the Department of Health, your group, has forced them to backtrack on a couple of issues, right? So first of all, they did backtrack on enforcing the school. If you don't get your mandate, you can't go to school. Is that correct?
Correct. They have publicly stated that even if you don't have the vaccine, you won't be forced to stay home. You can still go to school.
And the second aspect of that is there always should be obviously some form of exemption for parents. And the only exemption that existed at the time was a religious exemption, which of course not everybody is religious. But if you don't want your child to have the vaccine, you were forced to take a religious exemption. And I think you also got a concession from the Department of Health, and they said, listen, even if you're not religious, just take the religious exemption. Didn't we get them to admit that publicly as well?
Exactly. Yes, that was even recorded at one of the meetings that they had, that they did state exactly that, basically that it coexists as a philosophical at the same time as a religious.